The year is 2021 and the World Rapid Chess Tournament is underway. Abdusattorov Nodirbek, a teenage prodigy, is dominating his way through his side of the tournament. On the other side, however, was Magnus Carlsen. He was a three-time champion looking for the fourth title. Now the two prodigies were set to face off in what was undoubtedly going to be an incredible match. Let's break down how this encounter goes. Starting with white, Nodirbek opens up with pawn c4. Magnus spends a while thinking about his next move until he eventually makes his first move of knight f6. Nodirbek responds with knight c3 followed by black pawn e5. Nodirbek decides to jump his knight to f3, which leads to an English opening after black knight c6 and white pawn e4. Magnus shifts his bishop to b4, which results in Nodirbek moving his pawn to d3. A few bishops and pawns are moved until Magnus moves his queen to f6. This is Magnus offering a queen trade, hoping to cause an early endgame. Since that is his specialty, Nodirbek declines with the move queen d1. Sensing an opportunity, Magnus advances his pawn to g5. The idea behind this is to move his other pawn to h5 during his next turn. This would threaten white king significantly. Nodirbek slides his bishop to h3, with the previously mentioned h5 move being made after. Nodirbek makes a swift move of bishop e6, capturing the knight. Magnus's queen captures that bishop as white pawn advances to f4. A trade of pawns occurs right after. Magnus offers another queen trade, still trying to cause an endgame as soon as possible. He's clearly invested in this game as he fidgets with a piece. Nodirbek decides to decline again with the move queen f3. Magnus, who is certainly disappointed with the rejection, goes with pawn f6. White queen swings over to e3 as a couple moves are played. Eventually, Nodirbek advances his pawn to f5, which causes Magnus to become a little stressed. After a couple of more moves, Nodirbek successfully advances his pawn to g6, getting closer to queening it. Magnus tries to prevent this with rook g8, but Nodirbek is unfazed as he advances it more to g7. If Nodirbek were to successfully create a queen, he would undoubtedly win the match. Magnus swiftly moves his queen to h7 as Nodirbek reacts with queen h3. Pieces are traded and Magnus appears to be frustrated as he makes a particular facial expression. Nodirbek is clearly outplaying him at the current moment. More pieces are exchanged until white queen h4. Magnus tries knight c5, which is followed by white bishop c1. Magnus is in an extremely difficult position, to say the least. A few pieces are traded and white queen moves to h3. Black king shifts to b7 while white queen slides to f3. Magnus moves his queen to h7 as Nodirbek calmly plays bishop d2. Black king advances to a6 while the other queen moves to g2. More moves and trades are made until eventually a critical moment appears. Magnus has to do everything he can in order to prevent Nodirbek from promoting his pawns. Black knight moves to g5 as it is taken by the bishop. The bishop is promptly taken as well by Magnus's queen. Nodirbek makes a powerful move by checking Magnus. The black king backs up as more checks happen. The game was seeming to be a draw, however that would soon change. Nodirbek moves his queen to d7 while a black pawn advances to b5. A huge move is made when the single white pawn slides to h7. Under the pressure of the advancing pawn, Magnus moves his queen to e5. This is a mistake, however he is saved as Nodirbek misses the opportunity with king g4. Magnus begins to check Nodirbek constantly, getting him back for the previous barrage he had received himself. All of this is done in order to prevent Nodirbek from being able to promote his pawn. Under the pressure of time, Magnus makes a critical error, pawn b4. Nodirbek capitalizes on this with the crushing move of queen d2. This move results in Magnus only being able to play king a1. At this point, Magnus resigns and shakes his opponent's hand. Abdusattorov Nodirbek has defeated the previous champion. He would use the momentum from this brilliant game to end up winning the championship.